All right, welcome back. Happy New Year, everyone. Thirsty Thursday number 20. This is the first one of the year. Sorry, Thirsty Thursday number 20 and the first one of 2021. At some point, I'll get this all figured out, the whole intro thing. Not my forte, but whatever. So here we are. Obviously, we've got Trevor and Bobby live from the Pickled Pelican in Florida. So cheers, guys.
Timmy cheers, too.
So tonight we were hoping to have Battalion Chief Kurt Isaacson from Escambia County and from County Fire Tactics join us. He messaged us a couple days ago that with some of the conferences that they had coming up and his work schedule, he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. So unfortunately, Chief, we'll miss you and we'll catch up with you in the future and get you on here because we're really looking forward to chatting with you. But for tonight, so everybody else is stuck with us and the two-person comedy club at the Pickled Pelican. So tonight we just got kind of a random list of topics that we just kind of came up with. So we'll start rambling through those. But the first one is New Year, New You. What are you guys working on? What are your goals for 2021? So we'll kick it down to the Pickled Pelican, and you guys kick us off here.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. And again, like Ben said, this is our first broadcast in 2021. This morning at shift change, when I was talking to my folks, I referred to today as December 38th because it feels like 2020 just hasn't quite finished itself yet with everything still going on. But nevertheless, we're here, we're healthy, and we're moving forward. So tonight we're just going to talk a little bit about localized training. Bobby has come down here, and him and his family are down here in South Florida, and they've graced us with their presence. I'm really glad he decided to come from the West Coast to the East Coast and spend a little time with us. So it's kind of nice. And actually, we're going to do the missing man formation right here. Ben, this is where you should be right here. But
cheers, guys.
Well, cheers. So this space in between, and he's COVID negative, I'm COVID negative. It's all good. We're not socially distanced, but the space in between us is for you, Ben.
Two negatives make a
positive. Look at that. I was there that day in high school, actually. So, but anyway, wish you're here with us, Ben. We're actually kind of a little bit chilly right now. It's like low 70s.
It's not cold, Ben, at all.
Yeah.
I need cuddle time.
He's Florida-ized.
I am. I need to cuddle time with Bobby because I'm getting cold. But anyway,
the heat up to 65 today. It was so cold here in Maryland. So you guys enjoy it. We're barely staying warm.
I don't know how you live like that in those igloos up there, but
yeah.
But Bobby was good enough, and I think it's just really a natural reaction when he said he was going to come down to Florida and was going to come over and visit. I didn't even have to ask him. He says, "Hey, I'll be there for a good part of a week. Do you want me to come by and do some training with your guys?" And I was like, "Absolutely." Not only because we've trained so much over the years and we taught so much together over the years all over the country, but also it's always nice for your folks to hear from a different voice. Because after a while, no matter how good you are or think you are or anything else, you start sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. It's like, wah. And not just that, but sometimes it's just as much the messenger as it is the message, because I can preach certain things to the department and the guys can buy into it, but you never know if they're doing things because of you or in spite of you. And that's something where you really have to do a little bit of self-assessment, as an officer in the department, whether you're a training officer, captain, lieutenant, chief, doesn't matter. You have to understand that you have influence, and that influence can be good and bad. So with that being said, sometimes people will comply to things, maybe not because they really believe in it or think it's the right thing. It's because, the guy in the white hat says we got to do it, and I don't want to get in trouble. So it's really nice to have, a brother firefighter that you love, you trust, come in and not only reinforce what you said, but also challenge what you said and ask the firefighters and kind of get a perception of where they are in the universe. And also just give them extra tools in the toolbox, because as many similarities as that Bobby and I have, and I said this to the group that we had there, which we had a phenomenal turnout, and I'll talk about the department here in just a second, but if I see something one way and Ben, you see it another way, and we might be on opposite sides of it, Bobby's one of his greatest talents, not his only, but one of his greatest talents is that he can see it from a perspective that neither one of us considered. And we both go, wow, we have that aha moment. So that's always really nice. And that, again, that's one of the things I certainly respect about Bobby. One of the many things is with his teaching, because he can break these things down and make them very tangible to everybody. And it was, this isn't Lieutenant McGee. So that might be his pedigree and what's on his business card. But this was, hey, this is my bro Bobby from back up in the Mid-Atlantic, and he's here to share some stuff with you. So we had a really great turnout the other night. We're a small combination department. We only have 5 career personnel, and the remainder are volunteers who are frontline active volunteers, are not reservists in any way, shape, or form. So they are part of the crew. The volunteers come in, and they're required to do a minimum of 2 24-hour shifts a month. They can do more, certainly, and we welcome that. But they're there in the morning. They're there by usually 6:15, 6:30. They're checking the apparatus. They're going through the day. They're doing the training. They're running the calls. They are an integral part of that crew. They are part of the daily staffing, and we rely on that. So with that, the full-time people have to set the operational tempo. They help to train them and set the training objective for the day, get all the details done for the day, the week, the month, whatever the case might be. And then, of course, run the calls for service. So, with that, a lot of these people are preparing for a career in the fire service. They're giving us their time, and in return, we're trying to give them a little bit of professional development and some experience. And then usually, much to my chagrin, I love losing people to success. I hate to lose these good people, but by the time we get them trained up, they're comfortable, they're confident, they're, as my buddy says, cash and checks and snapping necks, they're getting hired somewhere. So it's like, wow, this is fantastic. You got hired. It's like, darn, now, I'm starting all over again. But with that being said, I just want to thank Bobby not only for, being able to hang out and, seeing one of my brothers that, I know and love, but actually coming and our families are spending some time together right now. And not only that, but, even on vacation, the guy's spending time, training my department, made that offer. I didn't have to guilt him into it or con him into it. He offered it up. And of course I took it. I wasn't going to let you turn that down. And then, even at that, our fire service families, we certainly appreciate them and how much understanding they have of us, because while a little while ago, while we were preparing dinner, Bobby's getting calls from folks back home, and it's just you're never away from it. It's so. Even though he might be 1,100 miles away from his department, he's still taking care of his folks. So with that, I'm going to move on and turn it over to Bobby McGee.
Well, thanks, Trevor. It was fun. We had a couple weeks down here. We're kind of actually self-quarantining in a way with very few people, and I brought an extra person that's more than 6 feet away from me. Anyways. But the truth is, the reason they listen to you in training is when you get a little old and gray like this, they're not quite sure how long you can teach in full, complete sentences. So, I appreciate them listening. They were awesome. They were into it. When I got to the fire station, I was afraid we wouldn't have anybody left after the brutal basketball game that was occurring. We actually had to stop the basketball game. Thank goodness. But it was good, and it's good for us. New Year's is a time to think about New Year's resolutions and, what are we going to do different with our lives? I think all of us maybe do a little bit of it. When you start the new year, what am I going to do to be better and things like that? And, in the fire service, training is where we improve, whether it's formal training that we take at FDIC or Firehouse or wherever, or it's standard training at your fire department that you take, or shift drills that you do with each other, or even just individual training. All of those things give us the ability to do what we need to do at 3:00 in the morning. And that's kind of like what we gear a lot of our training for. I think the two things that Chief Steedman and I try to do with training, yes, I have to say Chief, I'm here, yeah. But the two things I think we really try to do with training is make it relevant and achievable at 3:00 in the morning. And I think those are really the two things. And I've always warmed up to what I call train the trainer style courses, because train the trainer style courses truly are how experienced firefighters should be taught. People get beat up when they first start in the fire service and their academies and things like that. And there's things that has to happen then. But once you're an experienced firefighter, we shouldn't be talking down to you anymore, because it's guaranteed that everybody knows something that we don't know. And that's just kind of how it goes. So I really enjoy that style of teaching. I really learned it by going to FDIC when FDIC was really kind of more FDIC, where it was really about instructors.
True.
It used to be really about just instructors would go out there, especially at the beginning of the week. And we would talk about how you would go back and teach classes in your individual departments. FDIC is so popular, it's gone beyond that, and it's really anyone can go out there and get really good training now. But that's where we kind of picked up on, instead of making people crawl around the building because they weren't crawling inside of the building and embarrassing them and doing all those things that we did, we thought, well, maybe if we talk to them more respectfully, we'll get more. And the truth is we get better results there. More people stay engaged, more people listen, and things like that. So, my New Year's resolution is kind of like I got 5 years left before I can retire. And, my goal in all of this, with my physical fitness, with my health, with my training and everything else, is I really want to be able to do what the frontline guys and girls can do: pull a line, cut a hole in a roof, throw a ladder, pump an engine, whatever it may be. I want to be able to do all of that to the day I retire and walk out the door proud. That's a personal goal of mine. And when I say that, some of my brothers and sisters have obtained injuries worse than mine and have to kind of scale back a little bit. And we still need awesome pump operators. And some people acclimate to be at higher levels, like chiefs. But we need those. We need everybody. We need everybody in this game. So that's my personal goal in this year and each year going forward. And my professional goal is to help as many people as I can get better before I leave. And that's really kind of my professional goal. So, Ben, what are you thinking for the new year? What's on your mind?
I would yeah. Wow. Like I've said before, you guys always take the good stuff. Bobby, what you just said about the physical fitness and taking care of yourself. Oh, that's cute. The physical fitness, taking care of yourself. And then as an officer, as a lieutenant, captain, chief, whatever you are, it's your job, even as the senior member. If you're a senior firefighter, if you're the senior guy in your shift, in your firehouse, whatever, it's part of your job to help make sure that the younger generation, the new people coming in, are learning the ways that they need to know. I mean, we've talked before at length about people taking the Fire One program, and the state training agencies, the authority having agencies like MIFRE in Maryland, like they get beat up a lot for having a program that is so broad. But like we've talked about, they have to teach a program that's compatible with Frostburg, Maryland, over in the mountains, and Ocean City, Maryland, on the beach. And there's clearly a lot of differences between those two places. But they have to teach a program that will give you a person that's capable of doing the job. And then it's our job, once they come into the firehouses, they get their classes, it's our job to make them proficient with how Ocean City does it, with how Palm Beach Shores does it, with how Salisbury does it. So I couldn't agree more with taking care of yourself and then taking care of your people. That's something that from the day I started in the fire service, and when I figured out that I wanted to promote and move up, and I wanted to do those kind of things, that was something that was instilled in me from the very beginning, is that you have to take care of your people. So making sure that at 3 a.m. they know, hey, when I say we're going to pull the long line, all right, we've pulled the long line. We know how to do it, and we do it proficiently. We do it quickly because, again, that kid at the end of the hallway in his flannel pajamas is counting on us to come down and get him. So, Bobby, I couldn't agree with you more with that. And then going back to what Trevor had said about their training and stuff that Bobby and those guys did Tuesday night. You guys sent me some pictures, so I'm going to throw these up here. So here's Bobby in front of the Palm Beach Shores folks. First off, did you bring permits for the gun show? Because you're going to have to put those away. All right, put them away. But seriously, let's talk about we talk about physical fitness. All right, the man that's running the program, like, you can tell he works out. Right, you look at the people in the background, and they're not 400 pounds, like struggling to get their coat on, struggling to get their air pack on. Like, physical fitness is a priority for the people in this picture.
Yeah, and Ben, let me kind of give you a little bit of back history too. Is, obviously in the world we're in now with COVID, at the beginning of the shift, before our firefighters even come into the fire station, I got to tell you, between 6:15 and 6:30 in the morning, it looks like a parade on Edwards Lane in front of the fire station. We do like what a lot of people do. We do our daily COVID screening with the temperatures, but we line up in our cars and we'll literally, pull up, and the off-going shift commander is going through the screening with the checklist and the thermometer. So when you see all those folks in the firehouse, we've all been screened, we're doing the right thing, and you can only socially distance so much, but we still have to get training done. So we're taking all the precautions that we can and still trying to focus on what we need to do. But these folks are coming in, and one of the things that one of the many things that I'm very proud of the men and women of my department about are just the mere fact that they're hungry for training. A lot of these folks are somewhat new to the fire service, some aren't. But when they come in, they have a very good attitude for training. And one of the things that I had told Bobby when he came in, and we never know how many people are going to show up on a volunteer basis for drills, and which makes it logistically hard to kind of set up the drill, how many stations we're going to run, this, that, or the other. But we roll with it. That's just what we're used to. But with that being said, my volunteers, again, are usually seeking jobs in the fire service, and we have somewhat limited job opportunities where I am. So, if I could hire every one of them, I would hire them tomorrow, but that's not reality. So with that being said, the best thing we can do is train them up to the best of our ability, give them some professional development. And you know what? As long as they're serving in my department, we'll get everything we can out of them, but we need to give them everything we can also. And it's preparing them for the fire service, not the Palm Beach Shores Fire Service or the Palm Beach County Fire Service or the Green Acres Fire Service or North Palm. We want them to take these things. And that's another reason, Bobby was such a great asset the other night. But we had, and this happens on a regular basis, we have some of our former volunteers and former career people from Palm Beach Shores who have gone on to other departments that will actually come back. And we had two of them the other night. I won't mention the counties just in case there's anything with their CBA that would be a little squirrely on that. But they came back to attend our drill and also pass along some information, say, hey, we're alumni from here, and here's where I am now, and take this to heed. And they were showing us what they've learned in their academy. So it's wonderful to have that kind of environment that when the people leave, they're not going, oh, thank God I'm out of that joint. Feel that way. You never know. But when you have people that have probably a lot of other things they could be doing, but they're traveling all the way to the furthest east point in the state of Florida, back to their original fire department, whether it was career or volunteer, where they got their start, to share information and participate in a Tuesday night drill. That's huge. I mean, I can't tell you how gratifying that is. And that's the culture that those folks have created. I mean, that's the pride they've created in that department, and they do it each and every day. So, I mean, just imagine that for a second, that you have people that are coming back, not only to, hang out and say, how many new people we have the other night? God,
4 or 5.
Yeah, we had 4 or 5 brand new people. I mean, they still had that new firefighter smell. I'd never seen them before in my life, and they showed up. And they had no clue who everybody is. But people are coming back to share the resources, to share the information, share the knowledge, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw another picture up here again. I mean, this
COVID. Kidding.
But this stuff right here, like you said, you had 30 people, not including you guys, at your training. Like, if we had 30 people show up at our training, that, like, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Like, obviously we would figure it out, right? But like 30 people. I think the other thing that we're not talking about is, what does that say about the Palm Beach Shores Fire Department? You know, the morale, the leadership.
Well, if you saw the basketball game, you know all about the morale. And I do worry. I got to be honest with you, because I honestly should have a stack of first report of injury forms. Those guys, I mean, it's full contact basketball, and I'm like, God, just throw a few less elbows. But Bobby saw it. Tell him about it.
Oh, it's pretty brutal. It's kind of half football, half basketball.
It's like Australian rules basketball.
Yeah, good stuff.
So one of the things, Ben, we always talk about is, the big secret about teaching, we've talked about this on other shows, is that really the last thing about teaching is you always learn something new.
Yeah.
And so since we're down here in Florida and you're up in cold Maryland, Ben, one of the things that we learned was down here there's these crazy animals here, and Trevor, COVID, Kermit.
Hello, Kermit.
I got him. Crazy animals down here, anyways, but no, really, the guys were awesome. It does say something to what's happening in Palm Beach Shores to have that many people come back. I heard them talking about their scheduling, and this was crazy to me. So they were talking about they only had a couple of slots left for the next 2 months to cover their fire department for 24/72. And literally, they had people that were getting left off the list. They had such a list, so they keep a full engine crew. I take it, Chief.
Except for today, we were one short, but they happen sometimes. But
well, thanks for ruining my moment.
Sorry.
Yeah. But no, that's insane. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
30 years ago, I don't remember it being like that in my volunteer fire department. So there's definitely some really good things happening down here. We trained on really simple things that when you go to different parts of the country, they're doing different things. So the Chiefs Fire Department, they run a triple fold, they run a 150 cross lay, and we work the training in with that, talking about hose stretch estimation and things like that. And it's because that's what works best in this community, where they have smaller setbacks and things like that. And as we know, having too much hose can be a problem too. But when we went through the stretch estimation, it's really cool to see people pick it up immediately and be able to say, hey, because, adding hose and detracting hose is immensely more difficult when you fill that hose with water. Mm-hmm. I know that I know in most parts of the country, there's pure, perfect radio discipline, so that when we find out we've stretched short because we didn't do our stretch estimation, that all we have to do is pick up our radio, because a pump operator or our chauffeur will always have a radio on him and be listening at the same time. And we'll be able to call once and not be stepped on by anybody else. They'll be able to stop the flow of the water. And then we're going to be able to find somebody to get the hose to bring it up to the front of the line to add to the line. And then we're going to be able to, once again, with the perfect radio discipline is practiced throughout this great country, what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to call back to the pump operator and say, hey, we need water again. And he'll hear it and respond and react. Or it won't quite go that way. And having your stress estimation early and grabbing your extra 2 lengths of hose or length of hose before it's charged cuts out a lot of those things. And we talked about it at Palm Beach Shores, and I always talk about it, we start in a safe place. So us as the fire service starts from, we're sitting in our firehouses and it's comfortable and we're happy and we get dispatched for a call. When you think about it from a victim's perspective, the 8-year-old in flannel pajamas is sitting inside there, has been a scary place for a while before we get that call. So now we drive down the road and we're still not in a scary place. And this 8-year-old flannel pajama now is fighting for their life. and then we show up on scene, and we don't want to be that department that goes, all hoses stretch themselves. They've always stretched out. We've always made it inside the building.
Eventually.
Because even outside of the building, we're not in a very scary place. And we have to think about it from the victim's perspective. If we can just take that 5 or 10 seconds, think about the occupancy we're going to, because if you're going to garden apartments or something unusual, usually you know something about the setbacks. And then you think about that. And then when you show up on scene, you figure out kind of what apartment it is. And if you could do your stretch estimation early, then you can kind of cut that down. It's just that's probably the core of what we talked about in stretch. But I got to tell you something. We talked about how to do it, and I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but we talked about how to do it, how we do it. And they completed that with 100% accuracy. They literally nailed every hose stretch and had their working length at the door from every single thing from guys that had actually never done it before. So that's, it's very encouraging when we do training like that people can pick some of these things up so quickly that could be so beneficial to the fire service.
Well, and I think a big part of that too, Bobby, is it's the element that you create for letting these people fail. And I mean that in a positive way, because we always try to train to success. Okay, we go in, we do a buddy breathing drill, we successfully do it, we come out, we save the baby, we save the mannequin, all this other kind of stuff. But Bobby's always been a big proponent of training to failure, and that's not a negative thing. But look at and just to kind of paraphrase you, Bobby, is look at the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound. Did that go perfectly? No. Did things go?
They wrecked the helicopter.
Yeah, they wrecked the helicopter. I mean, things went from sugar to shit, but they stayed focused on the mission, and it was that ability to say things are probably not going to go 100% right. And it's not that things go wrong, it's how you react and how you recover. And that's what we were telling our people. It's like, don't be afraid to make mistakes, especially here in training. We're your safety net. We're your instructors. We're going to keep you from hurting yourself. But the true test is out on the street, and we're only as good as our last call. So when you go and do your training, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail in front of your peers. And don't sit there and be the guy poking someone else in the eye. Oh, you suck. There's one thing between a friendly rivalry and encouraging each other and kind of razzing each other. And there's another thing, just being an asshole. And, if you're not here for the right reason, like Bobby's talking about, we have to look at things from a victim's perspective. Never, ever, 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 ever borrow time from the victim. It's not yours. It's not your time to borrow. So like Bobby told my guys the other night, when you guys sit there and practice putting on your bunker gear and getting it like from a minute to 50 seconds to 45 seconds to 37 seconds, that's a big deal. It seems mundane. It seems like, okay, that's basic. It is basic. But guess what? That 3 seconds that you cut off that time of getting your bunker gear on is that 3 extra seconds that you gave that. Well, I call him a 4-year-old. He keeps growing up. But the kid,
I'm getting older. They're getting older.
The kid in the flannel or Spider-Man pajamas at the end of the hallway. That is who you're looking at. And again, like Bobby says, we start from a very safe place. Yes, our training and education is what keeps us the safest we can be in a dangerous job. Our job is inherently dangerous, but don't do stupid stuff. That's number one. You do the job, learn your trade, but at the same time, take those opportunities to perfect your skills and understand that all skill sets are perishable. So those little teeny things, and my guys are at an automatic disadvantage because their living quarters and their apparatus bay are not connected. I can tell you in no uncertain terms, it takes 127 steps and 42 seconds to get from the from the living quarters to the apparatus bay. And that's one of the things that I shake my fist a lot at trying to get the continuity of how they operate. It's not their fault, and it's something that I'm trying to really correct because of something from years ago that no one thought of that. And it's not because I had this great epiphany or was this wonderful foreseer of everything. It's common sense. The further away you are from your ride to work, the longer it's going to take you to get there. So that 42 seconds might not seem like a big deal to people until they call you and they need you. And my firefighters are turning out as fast as they can, but when it's pouring down rain and we're in the rainy season And my folks are going from their living quarters to their apparatus bay and getting soaking ass wet and then having to get on a piece of apparatus and turn out. Think about that. So, these are the things I'm trying to correct little by little by little. But at the same time, anything that we can do to become better and more efficient, we need to do. And we have a lot on our plate. We're doing engine company operations. We're doing we don't have a truck, but we're doing engine company based truck operations. We're doing a lot of different things. So all these different things that we try to put together, we have to always put the people that we're serving as the focus of it. Not, I'm not getting overtime today. All those are ancillary. Yes, those might be concerns. Those might be some issues that we can work out. But if you put the people you're serving first, as when you make a decision to say, how does this affect the people we're serving? And if the answer is, well, this doesn't benefit them, probably not the right answer, quite honestly. So, again, to Bobby's point, is become a better practitioner of your trade, do it for you. And when you become better, your crew becomes better. When your crew becomes better, your shift becomes better. When your shift becomes better, your department becomes better. And it's a trickle up effect, if anything else. And I truly believe in 360-degree leadership. And by the way, FDIC has been pushed back to August now. And that's a class.
August in Indy.
Yeah, August in Indy. But I'm teaching 360-degree leadership out there. I'm very honored to be able to do that. But I truly believe that is that when I look and I'll come into town on a Sunday to have breakfast with my family at a restaurant, and we come around a corner, and wow, here's my crew and they're training. That's not because of a memo, a general order, an edict, or they're afraid. They're going out because they want to do it. I mean, last night they were out there, training till about 6 p.m. because once they get started, they enjoy it. I mean, these guys and gals are hungry for training. And as long as they're hungry for it, I think as an instructor, and I'll kind of divert to this and pitch it over. As an instructor, you love to see that when people take their own initiative and feel that they can go out and try these things. And certainly they have parameters. I don't want them going and doing rope rescue training and rappelling without safety lines. And there's certain things that you do on shift. There's certain things that you do in a more organized fashion or a larger organized fashion. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that your folks are not only motivated to train, but they understand that it's okay. Give them guidelines, give them the tools, and you'll be amazed at the results that you're going to get from these people. I had that one guy from up north who was one of my former volunteers. He came back again yesterday to show my guys some rope rescue stuff he had learned in his new career department, which is literally 3.5 hours north of where I am. He came back just to do that. So he's coming back. I mean, he lives in the area, but still, nevertheless, he has no obligation to do that, but he's doing it. And it's a wonderful thing. So the other thing I'll kind of end on before I pitch it back over is one of my firefighters the other night, he just got hired in a department about an hour south of here. It's kind of a suburb of Miami. And, the guy's he's excited and terrified at the same time. And the mere fact that this individual has the fortitude to say, hey, I'm a little bit nervous, not because he's starting out in the fire service, but the position he's been put in, he doesn't feel that he's really up to par. And I told him, I said, look, one of the things you have to look at as an instructor is everything that I teach somebody, I pass along all the good stuff I've ever learned to them, or I should. But at the same time, I also pass along my deficits. If there's something I don't know or I'm not good at. So over time, if you think about it, whether you're a company level officer or a training officer, no matter what, and here's how I equated it. When I first came on the job, there were people who were way, way, way senior to me. Obviously, I'm a probie. I'm coming in. I'm green. And when I observe things happening at the fire station or on calls, I'm like, well, these guys have been here a lot longer than I have. They've got the time and grade. And when they would do something and nothing bad would happen, I would assume it's the right thing because I don't know. They have more information than I do. Just like as an instructor, you have more information than your students. Might not be good information, but you have more than they do. And I kind of go by that theory that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, So with that being said, when I first learned about elevator rescue, we never secured the power. We didn't do this. We didn't do that because I watched the senior guy on my shift who would just go up and okay, sir, ma'am, we'll have you out in a minute. They spun the elevator key, and there was a big, humongous gap at the bottom. Then nobody ever fell through. So I'm like, oh, this must be the way to do it. I found the gaps in my training, and it wasn't because the senior guy on my shift or my volunteer department was bad or stupid. They taught me everything they knew and did the best they could, but they also passed along their deficits to me. So you have to be cognizant of that as an instructor, as an officer, and even as a senior person on your shift. Again, back to the 360 leadership, you pass along influence, good and bad. So we encourage the firefighters to say, evaluate your own training. And you're not trying to poke anyone in the eye, but evaluate your own training and see where those gaps are in your training. Fill those gaps, because I equate it to having a puzzle. And you look at a piece of the puzzle that semi-fits, and this might be the trucky in me. I'm like, well, that piece kind of looks like it fits. So you kind of put it in there, and you're like, and then you start, trying to smack it in place and wedge it down. So yeah, you might get that puzzle piece to fit, but number one, it's an ugly ass puzzle at that point. And number two, it just doesn't fit quite right. And there's a gap in there. So, we have to fill those gaps in. So as have that humility as an officer, as an instructor, as an influencer in your department, no matter where you are, to say, I know what I know. I don't know what I don't know at this point. And, be very honest with your people and just say, hey, I'm going to tell you what I know, but seek other sources of credible information. Don't just go and, Bobby said it the other night, guys, I'm showing you stuff that, your chief might have shown you. You might already be familiar with it. I might show you some things that are a little bit different. It's okay. It's good. And it doesn't mean that, I'm wrong or he's wrong. It's here's a tool in your toolbox. So that's what we encourage everybody to do, is to really have that mindset that don't be afraid to fail, because you're not going to fail. You're either going to succeed or you're going to learn, one or the other. And don't be afraid to fail in front of your counterparts. And you have to create that culture to say, look, we're in this together, and keep that service model right in front of you. Yes, all the other stuff will take care of itself, or we'll take care of it. But, if your first and foremost thought is, how does this benefit? What did I do today to become better in the fire service and make myself better? You're doing your job. What do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I think when you have those instructors that come in, and I think we've talked before about the 2-state rule. If you have someone that comes in at least 2 states away, they automatically know more, and it's better than what we have here. So. But I think having that other instructor that comes in and instructs and teaches and trains with you guys, it does a number of things. One, if what the end goal and the end result, we're getting better, we're getting faster, we're being more proficient, we're being more competent, and it all merges with what the training goals have been from the whoever does the majority of the teaching. So for our volunteer training, I do most of our instructing. Next Wednesday, we have Captain Haynes, our training officer for the department, coming in and doing RIT training. If we're on the same page that, hey, this is why it's important to be fast mask up with your gloves on, all these kind of things, then it instills in the membership, hey, these are important things, and as a department, this is important for us. And like you guys mentioned, you get, Captain Haynes is going to teach it a little bit different than how I'm going to teach it. And you get that additional tool in the toolbox. So I think it provides a little bit of variety, because at the same time, they don't want to hear me talk every time we get together. Having that little bit of variety, getting something a little bit different is very beneficial, and I think helps break things up. But then again, they see that consistency across the department and across their training goals and the big picture goals, I think is huge. And it instills value, and it instills confidence in the person that's doing the majority of your training.
Yeah, Ben, I would agree with that. And I'll kind of put Bobby on the spot a little bit here, but Ben, first and foremost, and some of the viewers might not know this out there, but Ben and Rachel have a beautiful, beautiful baby girl, young Harper. So
you can't put a picture up on it?
Yeah, you can't put a picture of the baby up.
Hang on a second. Trust me, I got plenty of pictures.
I was going to say we're putting you on the spot now. But.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. I got tons of pictures of her.
Oh, challenge accepted! Boom. Well, here's my question to you, and where is she?
Hang on a second. Stand by. All units operating.
I do wish she looked more. I wish she looked more like her mother, but she is a beautiful child.
Oh my goodness! I wish she looked more like her mother.
You guys see that?
There she is.
There we go.
That's beautiful, Mom.
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Ben. And again, congratulations to you and Rachel bringing a little probie into our fire service family and your family. But have you ever seen an ugly baby?
No, actually, I was just talking to Skip Carey the other night, and he said they're either cute babies or they look like Winston Churchill.
Well, true, but I mean, but very, very honestly, give me your visceral response. Have you ever seen an ugly baby?
No, I have not. No.
Okay, Bobby, you ever seen an ugly baby?
No.
Okay. I'm
waiting.
I will pull the honesty card out here. Let's just say, look, I love all kids and everything else, but there's some babies out there that you look at and go, wow, that kid's got a face for radio, or that's a face only a mother could love, right? But have you ever told someone they have an ugly baby?
Oh, hell no.
Exactly. So you might have looked and gone, God, wow, that kid could make a train take a dirt road. You just never. All that aside, I mean, get past the superficial stuff, but that's the point. Like Bobby, we have enough of a relationship that Bobby could tell me from training the other night, hey, bro, here's the good, the bad, and the ugly about your department. That's my baby. That department is my baby. And we all feel that our babies are beautiful. And Ben, your baby is beautiful. I'm not just telling you that. You have a beautiful child.
Thank you.
The whole point is, actually, Liz, I need a. Can you give me your baby picture?
No, I can't.
Okay, we're talking about ugly babies. My wife's beautiful. My wife is beautiful. But
oh my goodness.
Anyway, the point being is that you might look at something and go, but are you going to go to that person and go, wow, you got the ugly freaking? No, you're not going to do that. Of course not. But we have to do that gut check. That fire department, that's my child. And I'm not minimizing. Don't take that the wrong way. But that I look at that like I would my own kid. You love it. You try to nurture it. You're trying to do all these things. You care for it, and you want it to grow. You want it to prosper. You want it to succeed. And sometimes you got your it's my kid. It's my kid. He's so cute. And you need that person who's going to go. You got a nice kid, but dude, that is an ugly baby. And no, it's not. So you have to have that realization and have that honesty to maybe even look outside your organization when you bring an outside instructor in, be able to do that gut check and say, look, don't blow sunshine up my butt. And, tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly about what you saw. And, Bobby the same way. He could say, hey, look, here's where your department did great. Here's some things they need to work on. And here's where you suck. And that's not an indictment. It's just some honesty where that gives me a jumping off point to say, thank you. Because, I can only see it through a certain lens. And Bobby coming in has the 30,000 foot view and can see it through a completely different lens. And that's okay. It's good. So I want to be told if I've got an ugly baby. So how's my kid look?
Looks fine. The Chief? I'm not so sure about
Chief's a little sketchy. Chief's a homely son of a bitch, but
but men and women look great there. Yes, sir.
No, but I mean, whether it's operations, whether it's administration, whether it's equipment, whether anything, those are the things that you look at and say, hey, and I call it the ugly baby theory. Is like, hey, everyone will see an ugly baby, but they're never going to go up to a parent and go, oh, wow, they're going to go, oh, they're so cute, and I mean, they're, what I'm getting at. But again, man, you have a beautiful daughter, you and Rachel. So
thank you.
We would tell you if you had an ugly baby, and you do not.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that.
She's beautiful. Looks a little too much like her dad, but hey, she will grow out of that.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting for her to grow out of that. She's like 10 days old, so we're hoping it happens a little faster.
Yeah. So to talk about New Year's Eve and New Year's resolutions, and Trevor's covered a whole lot of stuff. But what is a New Year's resolution really? And a New Year's resolution is really a visualization, which a visualization is really important in success of people, right? And so, Happy New Year, Trev.
Happy New Year.
All right. So visualization is really important. So it's funny, Trevor was talking about SEAL team, the SEAL teams and things like that. And I include all special forces in this
I'm
thing.
on Wheel Team 6 now.
Yeah. We're your fire chief now.
Yeah, shut up.
But anyways, but one of the things that happened to me when I was very young in the Navy, and I didn't know the lesson I was getting when I was there because I was just too young to know any better. But one of the things that I did was I used to refuel the SEAL team boats off of our ship. The other thing was I was a part of a group of guys that we did a whole lot of working out together and stuff like that. So we were living in Rota, Spain. We were going to the gym, and SEAL team guys were there and all that. But one thing was they didn't interact with us a whole lot.
It's because they were intimidated. They're always looking at like,
that's exactly what it was, right?
But
you know what I noticed,
McGee.
Yeah. So what I noticed about them was, I now many years later think about the fire service. You think about an engine company or a truck company in small town USA. When you look at SEAL Team 6, the first thing I think everybody knows is undeniably they have some of the best training on planet Earth for what they do. And they do their sets and reps and their sets and reps and their sets and reps, and they do it continually, not because they're going to 1,000 Osama bin Laden raids, but because when they go to the one, they're going to be successful at it. And so that's the first take-home lesson for all of us in the fire service. The second thing that they do is that they know that when they go on a mission, some of them may not come home. Well, when you look at small town fire department, engine company, and truck company, the same exact thing is true. And when I watched them working together, so they had an officer on their crew and they had a senior NCO on their crew, and then they had, I can't even call them regular SEALs, that doesn't even sound right, but they had the rank and file was all together. And I remember on my ship, we had to respect rank, but it wasn't the same. I could watch their interactions with each other, and you could tell that everybody on there knew that they could lose each other on their next mission. And, I really see a lot of similarities to the fire service. You are the SEAL team for the 8-year-old in flannel pajamas, and your preparation and your teamwork and your respective rank and all of those things kind of comes together in that visualization. And the biggest take home is they train to go on a mission, not 10,000 missions. So SEAL teams don't go out and say, well, we're going to go to Osama bin Laden's place and try something and see how that works. And, we don't really have a policy for that. We're just going to show up and we'll wing it and figure it out, and then after we go to maybe 1,000 of those, it's going to work. That's not how they operate. And that's daggone sure not how we should operate. We should operate that one time in our fire service career that the 8-year-old in flannel pajamas needs us. We're going to be like the SEAL team in that community. We're going to be trained, thinking about it, practice with each other, have respect for each other, know that any one of us may not go home on this mission, and still have the focus, just like our SEAL teams and special forces in this country, to go do the mission knowing we may not come home, because that 8-year-old in flannel pajamas is worth it. So I think that that's a good way to look at a New Year's resolution. If you want to have one, these sets and reps before you go on these fires and rescues does count. It does count, and don't let anybody tell you that because you're not from a large urban department that runs a gazillion calls that you can't make a positive effect on your community, because guess what? That large urban department is not coming to your community. You have what you have, just like special forces do. So that's it's funny, Trevor, you brought up the special forces analogy, because, when you look at that and you kind of try to emulate other groups and things like that, there's lots of things going on in the military the fire service can learn from. We say we're paramilitary, but we give our people a lot of latitude, So that's just something to think about.
No, and we do. And the side note to that is that, you're going to battle with the army you have, not the army you want. And so you have to bridge that gap. So if you say, here's what I expect, here's what I want, well, that's great. It's to have missions and goals. But at the same time, here, I can't let you go alone, Bobby. But at the same time, I mean, you've got to be able to try to bridge those things and make sure that you provide those tools to your people. And I'll ask this, Ben, what's today's date?
January 7th.
Guess how many firefighter fatalities we've had in 2021?
7.
One a day so far. And, some of those are due to a lot of varying factors, but nevertheless, just like Bobby's talking about, you really have to think about those things and say, yeah, they are. But hey, my wife came to us.
It's his wife's idea, by the way.
Happy New Year.
I'm starting to get more and more thankful that I'm not there to watch Trevor get beat up after all this.
Oh, I am. I'm going to get pulverized after this. But no, but the point being is, just like Bobby's saying, is, don't pigeonhole yourself. Like I tell the folks in the department that I'm working in now, is you can't say, oh, well, we're a relatively small department. For a small department, we have high rises. We have, an intercoastal waterway. We have major marinas. We have a lot of stuff going on in our little first due area that they are responsible for, and they're first due. And what they do sets the entire tempo for everything. So, they have to be really good at that first line in. They have to be really good at that first inpatient assessment. They have to be really good at, interpreting the information from their pre-planning and walkthroughs, because that's going to be critical for what we're doing. Just today, for example, we've had a complete turnaround in what we're doing as far as points of dispensing for the COVID vaccine. And I've got to give full credit to the folks that I'm working with. What did they complain when I said, hey, guess what? The mission's done a 180 here, and here's what's going to be matriculating through the next probably 3 to 5 days.
What was that word?
Matriculating.
Ben, what's that mean?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'll look it up for you later. But the point being is, it's going to go down. It's going to happen.
Okay. Oh, it's going to go down.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just say it's going to go down?
I could have, but
Gotcha.
That was.
He has to use big words.
Oh, Chief Class 101.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's in the Chief Handbook. I took it right out there.
Big words.
So, yes, that's on page 75 of Chief Handbook. But anyway, that you wrote. But anyway, the point being is that they accept it and say, okay, what can we do to be successful in this mission? And you've got to give your folks a lot of credit, because when you give them a challenge and give them the opportunity and latitude to say, here's the mission, here's the challenge, here's the tools you have, and here's the box that you have to operate in, and you stay the hell out of their way in a lot of ways, you'll be amazed at some of the things they come up with. Yes, give them guidance, give them what they need, but at the same time, don't be afraid to let someone else carry that ball, because some of the ideas that come out are absolutely phenomenal. So just like Bobby's saying, we don't have some of these incidents happen every day. We have the low frequency, high impact events that do occur. Do we have to train for them? Certainly. Do we have to prepare for them? Certainly. Do we have to be able to at least get started on an operation? Yes, we do. But it's also about knowing your resources and your capabilities and limitations, and being okay with that, and not having that silo or blinder mentality where, oh, we got this, it's okay, we'll just wing it when we get there. That's not right. That's not good, and it doesn't serve the people that we're there for. So whether it's fire related, medical related, rescue, technical rescue related, these are the things that we have to know what's in our wheelhouse and what's not, and what we're going to look for. And so the folks that I'm working with, again, phenomenal bunch of people, very, very proud of them, and just so it's amazing what they can accomplish, and at the same time giving them the space and the latitude to not only grow, but also I don't want to use the term fail, but they're not afraid to take a risk, a calculated risk, and say, well, shit, that didn't work, and try something else. They know it's going to be okay as long as we're not doing something stupid and risking their own lives or the life of somebody that we're trying to protect. But they're not afraid to take a calculated risk, because they know they'll have the backing in that, and they'll know they'll be able to succeed. And that's why we put so much emphasis on training, because the more we sweat in training, the less we're going to be bleed on the street. And if we make those mistakes in training, that's what actually puts the mindset to these folks that, okay, that didn't work in the training scenario, in the controlled scenario, but they start to refine those skills a little bit more. So what are your thoughts on that, Bob?
Well, my first thought is I got a text from retired Lieutenant Dipsky from DC Fire that you're not going to believe this, Trevor, but Mr. Dipsky said I need to smile more.
No.
Great. He's smiling on the inside. That's all I
can't ever remember a time I saw Mr. Dipsky smile. So I'm just trying to think what does he think a smile is?
I've seen Dip smile a lot of times, but
So, no, I think that the last thing that I really wanted to cover when you're talking about New Year's resolutions is your personal responsibility. So I know we get beat up with health and safety things and nutrition and all those things in the fire service, and what I think is that we need to be able to do the job. I don't think that when we talk about health, we're not talking about the guy walking out of the gym. We're not. I mean, there are guys that we have taught with that look beat up, and they are beat up. But I can tell you, if you're in trouble in a fire, that's the person you want to come. So I think that the point I'm trying to make with this whole thing is that all the training that you can get, whatever. If you're teaching your men, and if Captain Haynes is teaching your men, and all the things that are happening, if that's the only training they get, that's not enough. And it's our own responsibility to practice masking up. It's our own responsibility to practice doing things. And Trevor brought it up earlier, and I wanted to bring up one of my failures because, as you know, in the fire service is a whole big push now for masking up with your gloves on. As a matter of fact, I think if you were to enter that into YouTube or Google, you'd probably come up with 10,000 people showing examples of how you can mask up with your gloves on. So I thought it was a valid thing to do, and it sounded like it's quicker. And I practice it at the firehouse and pull my hood back down. And after you do it about 10 times, the hood gets all tangled up and you got to kind of reset things. But I practiced it and I thought I was ready, and I went on that fire. And I went on that fire where it made sense for me to go up the ladder, throw my mask on with my gloves on, and go to work. And it happened to be a 3rd-story roof, and we made it up, and we had a big shift in the wind, and the fire started blowing out of the windows towards us, where we lost all of our visibility and kind of got ate up with it. And it was that point with the hood over my straps that I realized I never had a seal at all. So for all those sets and reps I did, I was never checking the seal.
Well, like you told my guys the other night, your practice makes perfect. Only if the practice itself is perfect.
Yeah. So when you're practicing, make sure you go through all the things. Make sure you're right when you're practicing, because you can practice it wrong 100 times, and if you practice it wrong and get it perfect wrong 100 times, then you can have a situation that happened to me. Thank goodness. Now it's Battalion Chief Peterson, happened to be, I lost all my visibility and was trying to get back to fix my problem, because let me tell you, once you put that hood on, you're not adjusting your straps anymore, as everybody knows. And he caught me from going off a 3rd-story roof in the process of kind of getting that straightened away. So it's just one of the things that we just have to sit at the firehouse when you're not doing anything. Just go out there, and I'm going to check my gear with my fire gloves on. And just get the feel for the SCBA, get the feel for the compartment doors, get the feel for everything, just to kind of get used to it. I'm going to go out and just do some sets and reps, just throw my gear on. I always talk about it. People, they want to do all these CrossFit and functional exercises. Add in a charged hose line hooked to your hydrant in your parking lot with a 2.5-inch hose. You don't even have to flow it. Just pull it 50 feet in one direction as part of your rotation. Go back and do your other parts of the workout and go back. But that's what I'm talking about is if you just do these little things, but the bottom line is that we have got to be able to do our job when the time calls for it. Doesn't mean we're not going to make a mistake. Doesn't mean we may not screw things up. But the more we work towards not screwing up, the less chance we have of screwing up. And I just think that's a personal responsibility on all of us to kind of make sure that And this is the challenge for everybody in the new year. Figure something that you're not comfortable with to work on this with. We tend to work on the stuff we're comfortable with and actually kind of show off. Work on the stuff we're not comfortable with, because that's what's going to come into play in those most difficult times.
Well, Bobby, if you don't mind, could you share with them what you shared with my folks the other night when you said, establish your go-to, your 85% go-to, but about the other 15% too. You mind talking about that for a second?
No, not at all. So if you go across the country, there's many different ways to do things correctly. RIT packs, your personal gear, and I talk specifically about personal gear. So I always say have a way. You don't have to have a dozen ways, but have a way. So I carry with me a way to get out of a third-story building without dying. If there's no ladder underneath of it, okay? It's a system that I use, and I work it out. It's got a fancy little hook, looks like that, and it's got rope in my 35 feet of rope, so I can use it or whatever. But I've trained on it a lot, and I have that. I have a way so that if I end up happening upon a 280-pound person that's in the dying process, that's in their boxer shorts, that is sweaty from the dying process that I can't get a grip on, I have a way to use webbing to pull them out. And I think that each thing you have to have a way to hold your line correctly, a way to advance, a way to do your search and rescue. You have to have a way down to a science. But I think sometimes our training can come up a little bit short, and it's on our onus to do that. But yeah, have a way to get out of a third-story building with no ladder below, because if it's hot enough, you're coming out. Have a way to pull a victim at least to the hallway and get some help, or at least to the window until you can get some help. But yeah, that's kind of the point I was making, was you don't have to have 50 ways, but you just need to have, hello, puppy dog.
Sorry.
You don't have to have 100 ways. You just need to have a way to kind of do that. That's I always push people for that, because I'm telling you, we go to training sometimes. We'll see guys, they have webbing and they don't even know how to use it. They don't even know how long it is, those types of things. So I think is that what you're talking about?
No, absolutely. And that was one of the many take-home points Bobby was able to security breach here at the Pickle Pelican.
Firehouse dog.
Yes. So one of the many things that Bobby was able to give us as take-home points was basically saying, hey, look, find that way you're comfortable with, but be cognizant of the fact that way is not going to work 100% of the time. Doesn't mean it's wrong or it's bad, but we get so ingrained in that what we're comfortable with in our comfort zones. So, and I watched Bobby doing training before, just like with his webbing. And, when he takes his webbing out of his pocket, he knows where it is each and every time. But I've physically watched Bobby do this, is he'll take his webbing and throw it across the room just so it's not in the same configuration. And so, and I tell people, I believe in repetitive training. I believe in muscle memory, but throw yourself that curveball, because 85% of the time, things are going to go the way you want them to go. That other 15% of the time, not so much. So, be able to adjust, be able to adapt. And like Bobby told my folks with pulling lines the other night, if the shift before you didn't pack the line right and you pull it and it's not right, what are you going to do? You can't throw your hands up in the air or sit there and cuss C shift because they didn't do things right. No offense, C shift. But you can't.
I'm A shift now. I'm good.
I know, but you can't sit there and do it. You have to adjust on the fireground, just like the folks like Bobby talked about with the SEAL team. When the helicopter crashing was not part of the IAP, I guarantee that they didn't say the helicopter will crash at such and such hours. No, could happen. It did happen. So what's your contingency? What's your workaround? What's the way you're still going to accomplish the mission and work? We can talk about it later. We can hot wash it later. I've told my folks that, I still have that passion that if something's not right at midnight, guess what? We might be out at 3:00 in the morning throwing ladders on the side of an abandoned building, because we are not going to go home at the end of that shift saying we screwed this up. We might have messed something up, but you're only as good as your last call. So, are you going to practice until you get it right, or are you going to practice until you can't get it wrong? And you have that mindset, have that passion, have that in your gut, that no matter what function you're doing in the fire service, that you look at it and say, was that my best effort? And if you can go home at the end of that shift and say, yes, it was, and there's no better way to do it, you had a great day. If there's a way you can improve on it, take that opportunity, because we're there for 24 hours, and take every minute that you can to be better at your craft.
Good stuff. It's good stuff. So if it's cool with you guys, we'll wrap it up. We're just a little over an hour. So wrapping it up.
You getting cold, Ben?
Yeah, it is a little chilly. Hang on a second. There we go. Feel better now. So like the guy said, can somebody turn the fan on? Trevor, you're starting to sweat a little.
I think it's in the 60s here now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You guys gonna be all right?
Well, for a little bit.
Okay. All right.
We're actually getting ready to open up a cold weather shelter. It's getting pretty bad. I think it dropped below 70. Sounds
terrible. I hate both of you. So anyway, we're coming to the end of the show. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Another great conversation. Trevor and Bobby live from the Pickled Pelican in Southern Florida. You guys need help. But a lot of really great points tonight. So if you're an instructor, every so often have someone else come up and do some instructing. You as the instructor can learn something from that. Hey, I like the way that Bobby teaches whatever. I like the way that Trevor teaches whatever, and that's something that can improve your instruction. And you can get that outside evaluation of how your folks are doing. Jake, what's up? You should get the Jake from State Farm too. So, and then every time you go to the firehouse, every day that you work, if you're just stopping by, if you're there for 24 hours, whatever you got to do something to make yourself better. All right. It makes you better. It makes your crew better. It makes your department better. And ultimately it's better serving for your community. So, with that, we're back in 2 weeks, January 21st. We haven't worked on who's coming to join us, but, I can tell you, you're going to want to join. We're going to have a great time regardless. So we hope you come back and see us. You guys got anything before we wrap it up and head out?
Yeah, just looking forward to having our guests back on. Again, we appreciate everybody who wants to come on the show, but between work shifts and obligations, things get in the way. So we're really looking forward to having that conversation with Kurt Isaacson from Escambia County, our brother from up in north in the Panhandle. And also, I think we got Steve Hoopno coming on sometime in the not too distant future. But a lot of people with that we want to have conversations with. So we appreciate everybody's flexibility. And I know we try to advertise and say who's coming up, but again, when the job kind of takes precedence, it takes precedence. But these folks are going to be on, and we're going to talk to some other great people that have influenced us over the years, and have them on the show pretty soon. So stay tuned for everything. Certainly wish everybody a happy and prosperous new year. And like Bobby was talking about, make some goals for the new year. Maybe if it's not a resolution, say, where are those gaps that I want to fill this year? But appreciate everybody tuning in, and we're looking forward to a great 2021.
Cheers. All right. Good night, everyone. Stay safe. Train like your life depends on it, because it does.